Well, I don't know if it's the secret to life or anything, but definitely figured something out just now. You can't tie your self-love to behavior. And here's why. Anytime self-love is tied to behavior the way our parents often did, unfortunately, sit. Good girl. Sorry for drawing this out. It's because tying self-love to your actions that way, I would suspect almost always has the danger of a downward spiral. I'm being melodramatic. I could have said it all by now, but it's a positive feedback loop, like a nuclear reaction. Like imagine a thermostat then that whenever the temperature reaches a certain height, kicks the thermos on. The thermos. And whenever it gets, just below a certain temperature, it starts the AC. That would be positive feedback. Hey. You don't always get to greet everyone. I know that's not fair, but it's actually literally too simple for even a 1-minute video. Hey. You wave. Good girl. You see, because when you do something wrong, then you'll punish yourself. But if you're at all health-minded person, it seems to me at least likely that your punishment will itself be something that you shouldn't have done. Like for me as an alcoholic, it was always, I drank, so now I have to drink. Or I drank coffee, so now I have to drink beer. I hurt my stomach, I'm a piece of shit. Well, fuck it. And I was bad. I even managed to enroll my ex-girlfriend in this once. She was pissed at me and I asked her, we were playing this codependent game, she was helping me with my substance issues. I said, how much coffee today? She said, 3 ventis. So I had the 3 ventis. So I punished myself and had her enrolled as my co-punisher. I have like IBS. Shit hurts. You see, when you do something wrong in response to doing something wrong, if you punish yourself, if your self-love is tied to behavior, you're gonna punish bad behavior. You're not gonna say, I love myself no matter what, like a good parent should. And I love myself so much that I have room for my guilt and my shame. I have room to acknowledge when I'm bad. There's space to acknowledge when I've done wrong. I can't not love myself. I almost can't not love myself. Maybe there's extreme enough circumstances where maybe there is a point where it's healthy to like hate yourself for a second, I think that that's probably true. All these things evolved for a purpose. Ultimately, for the most part, a sociable purpose, because that's the way humans do best at survival and procreation, and that's what any creature exists primarily to do, unfortunately or not. So when you tie your self-love to your behavior, you create, I think, not just the potential, but the likelihood of positive feedback loops, dangerous ones, destructive ones. I mean, ecologically, positive feedback is mostly bad. You want negative feedback loops. That's why we exist, is because of an astounding array of negative feedback loops that have kept kept the Earth's climate stable and kept us in a magnetosphere and kept us within a certain distance of the sun and gave us a moon, and a lot of interesting coincidences. It really may be that life is very rare in the universe. And of course, then the anthropic principle applies, and we're just wherever it's rare. You know, no matter how rare it is, here we are. So, yeah. There's no statistical, mathematical way to prove that life is or isn't rare. No matter, when you only have one piece of evidence, ourselves, no matter how abundant or rare it is, we're one of the pieces of evidence. So the odds of us being here were 100%. And therefore, even if life is incredibly, exceedingly rare, the odds were still 100% of it being here on Earth because we're alive. It's really stupid simple, but it's also very philosophically potent. It actually makes a kind of sense. And that's just the simplified anthropic principle. There's actually kind of a lot more that can go into it that I don't understand, I don't remember. So you tie your behavior to something else. I'm super new at this. I have no idea how to do this yet. But you don't tie your self-love to your behavior, because then you are going to punish bad behavior. And almost any punishment you're likely to give yourself is going to itself be kind of bad for you. It's not going to be a gift. It's not going to be fulfilling. It's going to be a punishment, which is itself bad behavior. I'm sure 5 minutes ago you saw where this was going. Kaboom. You knock 2 or 3 neutrons loose, and each of them knocks 2 or 3 neutrons loose, and you have a nuclear bomb. That's a neutron bomb. A hydrogen bomb is interesting. I think the way they did it with the world's most disgusting science experiment in history that makes Mengele look tame by comparison, Nagasaki, which, according to Chomsky, normally an impeccable source of history, they literally just wanted to see what would happen. They were like hell-bent on dropping the second one. They wanted to make sure it worked. Normally it takes a pretty massive conventional explosion, especially back then. They weren't very precise. So that's why these bombs were like cars. And it took a massive conventional explosion to be able to trigger those first few neutrons to release. And then the neutron cascade that I described above. You knock one loose and it's flying really fast. But each one knocks 1.1 or 1.2 loose. And it happens at nuclear speeds, which is like light speeds practically. So, kaboom. A hydrogen bomb imitates the center of the sun. Much more powerful. Fusion. Hey. So that releases nuclear fusion, but hey, you get off me. I know you're precious, but that's no excuse. We're teaching her to not get on everyone. So it takes the conventional explosive, creates the nuclear neutron explosion, which is what's powerful enough to compress some tritium or some other hydrogen source. They probably did the nuclear explosion like around a sample of tritium, and it creates enough pressure to momentarily create nuclear fission. At least that's what I was taught happened in the Nagasaki bomb, which I just feel like I've trivialized, especially by including it here in this random. Is it? Yeah. Okay. Don't tie your self-worth to your behavior. Tie your behavior to your behavior. Maybe something more like, I was bad, so I need to be good to make up for it. I don't know about that. That might have its own pitfalls, but it's definitely better than, I was bad, so I'm kind of bad. I get girls, I'm valuable. Fail with a girl, I get the new job, I'm great. I get fired. I know it sounds crazy, but your self-worth shouldn't be affected. You should have a kind of fierce love for yourself. A phrase that makes me very happy because I just developed this crush on this girl, and in the middle of me cascading my own self-worth down because she suggested that while she's very interested in me, she really wants to not explore a more romantic relationship right now, I decided made me worthless. And then she said something about having a fierce self-love of herself and that she was always investing too much in others, like her whole adult life had been spent divesting tons of energy from herself into her mates, and she's like, I've been really not wanting to do that, so I'm just telling you, you know? Like, it's vulnerable for me to tell you that I don't want to do that. I'm like really trying to not do that. And I was triggered because I had this old thing where 10 years ago I met this girl and fell in love and then decided that I was worthless because she rejected me a little. I mean, it took an enormous amount of effort to get her to reject me a lot. I just needed to spiral down, and it all ties into daddy issues. I mean, it's literally because my father left when I was like 4. So she became my father and my mother and all women and all of everything, and it was craziness. She was even a dog that I had let get killed by a car. It's like, the associations are just astounding. And it's so interesting to have these insights and feel so impotent to do anything about them. I've always been so much more insightful than average, but so much less able to do anything about it that I honestly wonder if those things are tied. And the ability to take action is correlated to the ability to have insight. And that's why a lot of people are in a lot of kind of what I call healthy denial of themselves. And it allows them to be more active. And I think the rule of thumb that a lot of people are applying is I will only allow myself to penetrate into the subconscious to the extent that I am going to be willing to do something about it. Any realizations that are just going to trigger impotence and inaction are blocked. And so those people can often be very difficult to it can be hard to communicate sometimes, but there's a wisdom in their ways. Because I've at least noticed that as I became more and more blasé about doing anything about it, I became better and better at seeing exactly what not exactly, but more of what my subconscious motivations were. But then again, I don't know, maybe I'm just trying to compliment myself or something. It took me forever to realize the father connection. And I didn't start realizing that until I was ready to start doing something about it. So there's the opposite pattern. That's very interesting. Wow. Okay, I'm curious what you think. Got to wrap this up. Shout out to MD for the phrase. Yeah, I was just like getting triggered. I was going right back to my worthless 'cause a girl thing. And suddenly I just kind of felt like, you know what? I'm just jealous of all of these people that have this epic, fierce self-love, and then I want it for myself. Well, what's stopping me? So I decided to start nurturing my own fierce self-love instead. And now I like have high hopes for the friendship. I'm like actually really excited to see what happens as I get to know this person. So anyway, peace, love, and goodbye. Yeah.